Hey everybody, how you doing? Bill Colarulo back with another Legal Hands to the Face podcast after that awful performance by the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football, prime time against the Dallas Cowboys. Just an epic failure from the head of the organization all the way down to the coaching staff, the players, just a disaster. We're going to talk about it all. Roll the intro.
This is the Legal Hands to the Face podcast with Bill Colarulo.
All right, guys, I'm coming to you from Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm sitting here in my hotel room. I'm actually here for a legal conference that I'm speaking at tomorrow. And I stayed in my room last night, all excited to watch that Monday Night Football game against the Dallas Cowboys. I'm sure all of you guys were excited, right? You go to work, you come home, it's Monday Night Football, it's Dallas Cowboys. It's going to be a great game. And then you have to watch that ridiculous performance. And I honestly feel that this loss falls squarely on the shoulders of Nick Sirianni and that coaching staff. No doubt in my mind, this is an epic failure by that coaching staff. Nick Sirianni, a guy I have been a fan of from the time he was hired all the way until now. I think he says a lot of the right things. I love the culture he's trying to bring. But you cannot be preaching all week, beat Dallas, wearing the T-shirts, beat Dallas, talking about the rivalry of the Dallas Cowboys and trying to get your team pumped up, and then come out and lay an egg like that. A horrible game plan, horrible play calling, horrible in-game adjustments, just overall a really bad performance by that coaching staff. I'm not letting the players off the hook. We'll talk about them in a second. They ultimately have to execute. But this coaching staff did not do them any favors at all. You come into this game and you don't run the ball at all. At all. You have a Dallas Cowboys offense that is picking up yardage at an insane clip against your defense. They are running the ball, they're throwing the ball, they're moving the ball against that defense. You have to do your defense some favors. You have to try to get some time of possession here. You can't keep coming out, lining up in empty sets with no running backs, putting Jalen Hurts in the shotgun, and just throwing the ball time after time after time. Not only are you not taking any time off the clock when you do that, not only are you giving the ball right back to Dallas to put our tired defense back on the field, you're not doing your quarterback any favors. Jalen Hurts is still basically a rookie quarterback. He's in his 7th start ever. And to help him, you give him a game plan where the entire game is on his shoulders with really no doubt in the mind of anybody on that defense what they're doing. When you line up in an empty set with no running back, it makes the job of the defensive line so much easier. They know they don't have to worry about the run. They can pin their ears back, and they could come after Jalen Hurts. Your linebackers, when there's no running back in the backfield, they don't have to worry about the run. Your corners, your safeties, they don't have to worry about the run. And you're just having Jalen drop back every single play. I don't understand. Doug Peterson did the same thing with Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders is one of your best offensive weapons. Every time that guy touches the ball, he makes things happen. He has the ability on every single carry to break it for a long run. He had 2 carries yesterday. 2 carries. And he was averaging 13.5 yards a carry. How do you not keep feeding him the ball? Nick Sirianni panicked. They went down early, and then he just completely abandoned the run. You cannot do that in the NFL. If you look at what the Dallas Cowboys did, they establish the run, and then they're able to run their pass plays and their screen plays all off of that play-action look that makes it extremely difficult on a defense to defend. But what did the Eagles do? Line up, drop back, throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball. And I get it. Sometimes when you fall down by a lot of points, it makes sense to abandon the run. It did not make sense to abandon the run last night. At one point in the third quarter, this game is still within reach. It's 27-13. You're down 14 points. That's only 2 scores. The Eagles have the football. I said to myself as I'm watching the game here alone in my hotel room like an idiot, okay, they're going to start running the ball a little bit here. They could establish a nice long drive, make it a 1-score game. What did the Eagles do? Nick Sirianni dials up 3 straight play calls. They come out, all pass plays, 3 and out, right back off the field, put the defense back on the field. What happens? The Cowboys drive right down and they score a touchdown. What are you doing? You do not have to be an NFL head coach to know that you have to be able to mix up your play calls. There has to be some sort of confusion on that defense. They can't know what you're doing every single play. These NFL players and these NFL coordinators are already too good. You can't be so predictable. He did no favors for Jalen Hurts and no favors for that defense. Like I said, the players have to play better, and we'll talk about that. But it wasn't just the play calling and the game plan. This team wasn't ready to play. This team was not ready to play, and that falls on the coaching staff. Undisciplined, way too many penalties. And this is a common theme now throughout this season. Too many penalties, too undisciplined. That falls squarely on the coaching staff. It is up to them to make sure that you have a disciplined team. You look at your good coaches and you look at your good teams, they usually are in the top 5 for having the least penalties time and time again. Penalties will destroy your game. They're going to hurt you on offense, they're going to hurt you on defense, they're going to hurt you on special teams. You have to have a disciplined team if you're going to win football games, especially against good teams in close games. But when I say they weren't ready to play, I counted. In the first 6 minutes of the game alone, there were 3 times where Derek Barnett, the defensive end for the Eagles, was either late getting on the field or late getting off the field. 3 times in 6 minutes. One of them resulted in a penalty for too many men on the field on defense. It's unacceptable. Now, whether or not that's Derek Barnett not knowing what packages he's a part of, whether or not it's the coaching staff not communicating properly to Derek Barnett when he's supposed to be on and off the field, that falls on the coaching staff. You have to make sure your players know what packages they're a part of. You have to make sure they're getting on and off the field appropriately. It was just from the top down, just an epic failure last night. And like I said, I'm sure all you guys were like me. You're excited. It's Monday Night Football. It's the Dallas Cowboys. And just a horrible performance. And, I hope, it's only one game, but I really hope that this is not indicative of who Nick Sirianni is as a coach, because this was just bad. Bad, bad, bad. And like I said, you can't completely absolve the players. And at the end of the day, they got to be the ones that execute. And there's a guy I've been a big fan of from last year who did not play well at all last night, and that was Jalen Hurts. I don't think the coaching staff did him any favors with the play calling, but he has to play better. If he's going to be your franchise quarterback, he has to play better. And there's a common theme here, 2 weeks in a row that I did not like to see, underthrowing those long balls. You have to, if you're going to miss on a long throw, they teach you at a very young age at quarterback, you miss long. Because if you miss long, the only thing that's going to happen is an incomplete pass. The only person who should have a shot at that ball is your wide receiver. And if he can't get there, it's incomplete. But if you underthrow a long ball, what can happen? Well, you saw what happened last night. It's going to be intercepted. There's going to be problems. It's going to get knocked down. So you really hope that this is not something that he can improve on. He has to be able to throw the long ball. Now, he threw 2 interceptions last night. And one of the things I did not like to see on that second interception was his reaction to it. Now, the second interception was the one where Devontae Smith is running an out route, and he actually falls down. Jalen throws it. It's picked off, returned the other way for a pick 6 touchdown. The broadcasters were acting as if this was Jalen Hurts' fault. It is not. Jalen Hurts in that situation, when your receiver's running an out route, you're releasing that ball before that receiver's even making their break. It's a timing thing. Jalen throws the ball, Devontae falls down, it gets picked off. That's on Devontae Smith. As a wide receiver, you cannot fall down. But what I didn't like is you've heard me talk about in the past how much Jalen Hurts just is a leader. He always has that business-like approach. He always seems to be even-keeled. He always has that confidence where you think other players are going to rally around him to continue to try to fight to win the game. Well, after that interception and the Monday Night Football cameras caught it, he goes over to Devontae and he says, "What happened?" And Devontae says, "I fell down." And you see Jalen Hurts just roll his eyes and walk away. You can't do that as the leader. You cannot do that. Devontae Smith's a rookie. He's in his third game ever. Yeah, he shouldn't fall down. Yes, that interception falls on him. But as the leader of this football team, you can't just roll your eyes and walk away. You have to be able to handle adversity. And that's something that Jalen Hurts has done throughout his entire college career, and you would hope he was going to translate into the NFL. And that's just one play, and it's just one example. But he can't do that, and he has to learn from that. And hopefully he will, because after the game in his press conference, I did like to hear what he had to say. He was basically saying, this is all on me. That's what a leader does. That's what a good quarterback is going to do. He took full accountability. He took full responsibility for this loss, and maybe had one of the best quotes I have ever heard an NFL quarterback say after a loss. He described this game, and he said, when you take a deuce, you don't look at it, you just flush it and move on. So the Eagles certainly took a deuce last night on Monday Night Football, so let's hope they can flush it and move on. But if things couldn't get worse, what have we been talking about all preseason? That this team and this offense's success is really going to rely on the offensive line staying healthy. We know last year the offensive line had 14 different combinations, and that really had a ripple effect throughout the entire team, the entire offense. They just could never get into a rhythm. And we were really excited this year because if this offensive line could stay healthy, you got 5 really good players, maybe one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Well, we're already in week 3, and look at the injuries we have. Jordan Mailata goes down in practice this week. Andre Dillard has to start. Then on the other side, you got Brandon Brooks. He went down last week. Landon Dickerson has to start. And then in the game last night, Isaac Seumalo, he goes down. We don't yet know the full extent of his injury, but man, it didn't look good. Gets carted off, and then Jason Kelsey talking about Isaac after the game actually starts to well up with tears when he's talking about him. So I'm very, very concerned. You lose your left tackle. Now you lose your left guard. You already have your right guard, Brandon Brooks, on IR. This is exactly what we feared. It's exactly what we could not see happen. This offensive line needed to stay healthy, and we're week 3. They already have 3 players hurt. Bad, bad, bad. I don't like it at all. Another injury last night that happened early was safety Kavon Wallace. He's already the backup. Rodney McLeod is still unable to come back from that knee injury he sustained last year. I think he's close to coming back. But his backup's Kavon Wallace. What happens in the beginning of the game? Kavon Wallace goes down. Marcus Epps comes in. And if you were watching the broadcast last night, Marcus Epps actually didn't play horrible. He made a couple nice plays. Man, the guy's aggressive. He can really bring the power when it comes to the hits, and he lit up a few players. But you could see what the Dallas Cowboys started to do. They started to exploit him with some really confusing routes. If you watch the game, like I said, they showed you the wide receivers for the Cowboys running what's called some scissors routes where they're crossing. Makes it really difficult on that safety to figure out if he's got deep third or deep half, where's he going? And they really were able to exploit Marcus Epps. But again, he's a third-string safety. We need to get Rodney McLeod back. Hopefully Kavon Wallace can get back. But these injuries are going to start piling up, and they're going to be a problem for this team, especially that offensive line. And that's a big concern. Now, it's hard to find positives in that game last night. There were really nothing positive to talk about. I left my hotel room last night. I had an event to go to, and man, it just ruins your whole night, ruins your whole day. It's just, you don't mind if the Eagles lose, but play hard, play well, make it close, but it was just not good anywhere. But I guess the only 2 positives that you can get out of that game was a guy we've been talking about all preseason. I told you he was going to have a great year. Is this Javon Hargrave at defensive tackle. He may be, and I don't think this is an exaggeration, the best player on the Eagles right now. He is playing better than Fletcher Cox. He's playing better than anybody on that offensive line. He is an absolute stud, and you saw what he could do. With that fumble he forced that resulted in the touchdown for the defense, that could have been a momentum swing. That would have been a huge play if the offense could have done anything, but they couldn't. But that could have been a huge play. But this guy is causing so many problems for these offenses. I mean, how many holding calls did number 52 get on the Dallas Cowboys last night? And a majority of those were because he just could not handle Javon Hargrave. So that's really nice to see. This is a guy who got hurt last year in camp, never fully recovered. But, man, he looks good. He's playing at an all-pro level. You love to see that. And then on the other side of the ball, although the offense really didn't do much, you again saw Quez Watkins and what hopefully this guy can become. He made a really nice catch on a contested throw that Jalen threw. Great catch. You could see his speed. So he looks like he's going to be a playmaker. But, man, there's some other players you're just not seeing enough out of. I mean, Devontae Smith catches his first touchdown pass in week 1, looked real smooth doing it. The guy has not looked comfortable in the last 2 weeks. So hopefully this is just a transition thing, going from college to the NFL. But you look at his, the guy that we're going to probably compare him to a lot in Cincinnati, this Jamar Chase, who was the first receiver taken off the board. In Cincinnati, the guy I think he just set a record. I think he tied Randy Moss's record for the most touchdowns in the first 3 weeks as a rookie. He looks really, really good. Devontae, they're really hoping this guy can be our number 1 wide receiver. He's got to step it up as well. That fall down on that route, causing a pick six the other way, it just can't happen. It's unacceptable. So with all that being said and with that disaster of a game, what do the Eagles have to look forward to? Well, the Kansas City Chiefs are coming to town. And watch out, because this Kansas City Chiefs team is coming off a loss to the San Diego Chargers. They're actually in last place in the AFC West for the first time. I think I saw a stat yesterday, since like 2015. This team is not going to lose again. I'm very, very nervous about this Kansas City Chiefs game coming to Philadelphia, coming off of a tough loss, starting off the season probably not as well as they wanted to, and I'm very afraid that the Eagles are going to run into a buzzsaw. And Nick, if you're listening, you have to run the football in this game against Kansas City. We have to keep Patrick Mahomes and that Kansas City Chiefs offense off the field as much as possible. Any football fan knows how good that offense is, how explosive that offense can be. We have to establish a running game. We have to win the time of possession battle, and we are ultimately going to have to put up points. We can't expect this defense to shut down the Kansas City Chiefs entirely, but you have to do this defense favors. You got to win the time of possession game. You have to establish the run, and then here's a novel thought. Run some play action off the run. Establish the run, and then run some play action. It's not rocket science. I'm shocked that I'm sitting here saying this, and Nick Sirianni, who's an NFL head coach, couldn't figure that out yesterday. So please, run the football. The only positive I guess we can take from this whole weekend, though, is our man, Carson Wentz, once again played 100% of the snaps, and the Indianapolis Colts lost, dropping their record to 0-3. So that first-round pick that the Eagles could be getting is looking better and better. But weirdly, I didn't think we'd be in this position. We need the Colts to actually win a game or two, because if they continue at this clip, there's no doubt they're going to just pull Wentz so he doesn't play 75% of the snaps, because they'd be dumb not to. They don't want to give up a top 10 pick to the Eagles. So we need the Colts to actually win some games to stay competitive long enough that Wentz remains in and he continues to get to that 75%. But we got a big game coming up. Let's hope the Eagles surprise us. They bounce back in a big way. Philadelphia Eagles fans, as down as we are right now, I know the link will be rocking. Andy Reid's coming back to town. Hopefully, he just got out of the hospital. Wish him the best. Get well soon, Andy. But Andy's coming back. We got the former Super Bowl champs coming into town. Mahomes, Kelsey, Tyreek Hill. A lot of good players. I think the link will be rocking. Let's hope the Eagles, not only Nick Sirianni, I didn't talk much about the defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon. He's got to do a better job as well. Let's have a good game plan. Let's hope the link is rocking, and let's just hope and pray that a miracle can happen and this Eagles team can beat the Chiefs, because the schedule doesn't get easier after this either. So we will see. And if you're not following us yet, what are you waiting for? The Legal Hands to the Face podcast. We're on all your favorite podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. So be sure, like and subscribe. We got a lot more good stuff coming, and let's just hope the Eagles can do a lot better next week. Go Birds.